Hi, I'm Megan, and for the next few minutes I'm going to talk to you about the dehumanization and objectification of women, specifically in Western media, including a few examples, its effects on men and women, and the reason why it's important to acknowledge. Now, if you know anything about feminism, you've probably heard the word objectification many times. But in case you haven't, Oxford Dictionary refers to it as the action of degrading someone to the status of a mere object. This is a concept that feminists have talked about for ages, but I want to break it down more and focus less on the women as objects aspect and more on the women as not human part of objectification. Ever since the beginning of film, television, and advertisement, the portrayal of women has been purposely unrealistic. Their humanity has been shamed into hiding in so many ways. So, why is this dehumanization of women so prominent anyways, and what is its purpose? I personally believe that female humanity makes men who have mistreated women uncomfortable. If a man has assaulted or harassed or raped a woman, he doesn't want to see her as a human being like himself. Female humanity makes many men uncomfortable because admitting that women are humans mean they need to reevaluate how they have treated women. Like I said, uncomfortable. So, to remain cozy and comfy, this portrayal of the unrealistic, perfect woman appears again and again all over the media, and then people consume this content and a cycle begins. Men don't see women as human like themselves, they mistreat women, more unrealistic content is created, and so on and on again. So to break this cycle, we need to acknowledge that it's happening. Dan Harmon is a Hollywood producer who personally admitted to sexually harassing a writer on his show because he knew that she knew her job was at stake if she were to stick up for herself. In his apology, he acknowledged the ways in which the dehumanization of women paved the way for his actions. He said, "I certainly wouldn't have been able to do it if I had any respect for women. On a fundamental level, I was thinking about them as different creatures. So, by dehumanizing his female employee, he was able to harass her for years without feeling an ounce of guilt. But by addressing and acknowledging it, he could understand how he was wrong and change his actions." Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about and can't think of any examples in the movies or commercials you've seen, let me give you a few examples of how women humanity has been shamed into hiding. First, female pleasure is made taboo. We see endless scenes in movies and television of women and girls being raped and murdered and maimed, but how many movies have you seen that focus on female pleasure? Ryan Gosling addressed this issue when the MPAA gave his movie an NC-17 rating because of a consensual sex scene featuring him performing oral sex on his wife. He said, "The MPAA is okay supporting scenes that portray women in scenarios of sexual torture and violence for entertainment purposes, but they are trying to force us to look away from a scene that shows a woman in a sexual scenario which is both complicit and complex." Another way that the media contributes to the dehumanization of women is in the shaming of normal bodily functions like hair growth and menstruation. In Western society, body hair on women is so taboo that it's not even shown in commercials for razors. And menstruation is so taboo that commercials for pads feel the need to use a blue liquid instead of the actual color of blood. In movies, women roll out of bed looking effortlessly flawless. The main female character in the newest Jurassic Park movie runs from dinosaurs in heels. In how many television shows have you heard the words "I'm not hungry" used by a female character to show some sort of sign of distress? All of these things separate a woman's human experience from that of a man. This is so harmful in the ways in which it affects both men and women. This dehumanization of women affects men in the way that it allows them to escape accountability for their actions when it's so easy to see women as different creatures, like Dan Harmon said. It affects women in the obvious way that we are at the receiving end of this mistreatment, and it also affects women in the way that we present ourselves. Despite this unattainable and unrealistic model of what a woman should be like, according to the media, we shave and wax and pluck till we bleed, and we dye our roots as quickly as possible, and we buy tampons in the small, easy-to-hide packaging, and we don't leave the house without makeup on. And suddenly, we are these non-human women that we see in the movies, just like some men in the media want us to be. And so, like the cycle suggests, we get treated like these non-human creatures from the television. So, as mentioned before, to break the cycle of dehumanization and mistreatment, we have to acknowledge it, like I'm doing today. So, thank you for listening.